Okay, good morning, everybody. We're playing some more of this 80 card Bant control deck that we used to play a ton of on the stream, and we're dusting it off for a few different reasons. One, this is a deck I've always really liked on Magic Online. It's a deck that I think has some issues closing games out in paper, but maybe I don't know. Maybe that was just one bad experience in a tournament setting. I made a few changes to the list. I've been doing a lot of play testing, or some play testing with Abundant Harvest in Bant's control, where one of the biggest issues I've found with the archetype is Mana Flood and Mana Screw. Where playing 80 card decks with lots of like cantrip effects, Abundant Growth, Spreading Seas, Ice-Fang, does lend you to Mana Flood and Mana Screw more often. And I thought that Abundant Harvest would be kind of like a very interesting way to help mitigate that. But I just kind of found that the sorcery speed, cantrip effect that doesn't get flickered with Yorion is just like a little too underwhelming, I think. And not being able to dig for specific answers also felt kind of awkward. So I ended up dropping those and working on a few different options. Like, nothing too crazy. We're on 4 Verdict, 4 Teferi, Chalice in the Void in the sideboard. I think it's going to be pretty good, but I like the deck a lot. I've said this a lot on stream, where blue-white players are helpless. They copy, the exact same list every week, and they say, Spike, I have no idea how to beat 4-color Omnath. But I think that this version specifically is solid against 4-color Omnath. I'm never really afraid to face the matchup. Being like really overloaded on Planeswalkers, Teferi, Jace, having your own Yorion, having Force of Negation, I think is a really good way to fight the 4-color Omnath deck. And so it's always been a matchup that I've just not really minded it at all. Also, this deck now has the Bant Triome. The Bant Triome is in the building, which makes the mana base better too. Not a huge upgrade. Would the Wandering Emperor be good in deck? I don't think so. So it's so again, this it may seem like I'm overstating this component to the deck, or this dynamic to the deck, where Mana Flood and Mana Screw is a big problem. But, and this is, like, not a mathematical concept I even, like, completely understand, but it's been explained to me a few times, and I've internalized it well enough to understand it. I don't know if I can explain it as well. But Yorion decks are more prone to Mana Flood and Mana Screw because the way the math works out, you're more likely to get clumps of lands or clumps of no lands. And that problem is exacerbated pretty significantly by the fact that this deck is also playing a lot of cards that just into the battlefield draw a card with Spreading Seas, Ice-Fang, Abundant Growth. And so, playing cantrips like that give you no selection already make you way more prone to Mana Flood, Mana Screw. Again, the issue is exacerbated with these cantrip effects. And so I think that when you're playing a 4-mana Planeswalker, like the Wandering Emperor, you really feel the fact that this is a card that's not giving you a Planeswalker that's not giving you any card advantage or selection. I don't think the Wandering Emperor is a bad card, but I will say that I think the Wandering Emperor is overrated. I think that it is like not better than Jace the Mind Sculptor in this deck, and competes always with Jace the Mind Sculptor, Memory Deluge, Supreme Verdict in the 4-drop slot, and I think people treat it like it's an auto include in these type of decks, and that's not really how I like to view it. Okay, I'm going to jam a Teferi on the play against Living End. Hope they don't have a Force of Negation into Living End, but if they do, we do have a Supreme Verdict. Basura, 18 months, thank you. I've been thinking about Nimble Obstructionist in this deck. Obstructionist is one of those like really smart cards, You play it and you just get to be a super genius for playing it. But it is also, I don't think it lines up very well against a big chunk of the format. Okay, Force pitching Force. No, this matchup is really good. Supreme Verdict, Teferi Time Raveler, Force of Negation, and the sideboard Chalice of the Void, Dovin's Veto, Force of Negation, Endurance. Just very, very good matchup, actually. Could obviously lose. You know, it's living ends. You lose to living ends sometimes. Deck tech for Weedy. Why not Rest in Peace over Endurance? Good question. In your 80-card Yorion decks, not only is your sideboard more taxed, but it's also true that you have more cards in your main deck that are potentially going to be dead in any specific matchup. So valuing versatile sideboard cards like Endurance over Rest in Peace is something that I really value, where Endurance is a really good card to bring in against Murktide, Grixis Shadow. You can bring it in the Control Mirror. You can bring it in any matchup that you're like just missing a few cards to impact the board, as opposed to Rest in Peace, which is a much, much more narrow card. Naya Garbage Fire. Professional Facebreaker is very cool. I'm trying to get one for my Mag the EDH deck. But you have fallen into the classic Naya Trap. I like to call this type of deck building the classic Naya Trap. Where you have built a deck, a very fair deck, that is full of like a reasonable amount of... I think I'm going to... Spreading Seas my opponent off of red? No, let's just cycle these growths. Hope we don't die to the 4/4. The classic Naya Trap is building the deck like this, where you have a really slow clock, you're a slow Naya mid-range deck, and you have incredibly, incredibly small amounts of main deck disruption for big mana and combo decks. You have 2 Endurances for Living End, 1 Beseiju for big mana, and that's it. And I think that this sideboard plan of being all in on Beseiju, Chalice of the Void, Silence is fine to try to hedge against these strategies post-board. But the big issue with the classic Naya Trap is your like game 1 fair mid-range grindy game plan isn't demonstrably better than a deck like Murktide, or a deck like Grixis Shadow, or a deck like Jund, or a deck like Rakdos. You maybe get some slight advantages in these matchups, but you are not like... You're not like a better fair deck than those decks. And you also are getting smashed by 4-color Omnath into dust with this build. Like, you just can't outgrind them. And to have like less interaction than the 4-color Omnath deck, while also... Ooh, this is an interesting draw. It's really good if I draw a land. I think I'm gonna... It's close. I only have 1 card. I think let's Spreading Seas the Sunken Ruin, see what we draw. Dude, Spreading Seas their Steam Vince is so tempting, but I think I'll wait. And so like the fact that you're a grindy deck that doesn't outgrind Omnath and like has no interaction for big mana combo control is again just the classic Naya Trap. So I will say that I don't like you playing the second Triome. I think you're only gonna want to play 1 Triome in these decks almost ever. It seems like you're playing too many fetchable targets, not enough fetch lands. You have 2 Triomes, 3 Sacred Foundries, 3 Stomping Grounds, 1 Temple Garden, 2 Plains, but you only have 4 fetch lands. You need to have like at least 6 in your Erin and 6 deck, ideally like 8. I'm like, there's 2 Maces over here. You need to have like at least 8 though. I think I'm gonna draw 2. It's kind of close. Hope we're not dying to this Curator. Ooh. 4 color mana is already so good. So this deck is trading Omnath and Charm for Ice-Fang Death Touch. It's different than that. This is a really common question I get when I play this deck. Like, Spike, why are you playing this over 4-color Omnath? Like, you're just you know, cutting the red. But this deck is not just cutting the red. You're choosing to not play this like creature-based mid-range plan that the 4-color Omnath deck chooses to play. You're choosing to be able to support Supreme Verdict, 4 Counterspell, 4 Archmage's Charm, and you're playing like the blue-white control card suite rather than like the 4-color Omnath suite, which is just definitely a different pile of cards. Okay, they have 3 looks at a Violent Outburst or Force of Negation. They're already down 2 forces. We eat again, think for the 15 months. Have to dodge here. Oh, they put a card on top, so we're dead. Probably. Oh, if it's force, we're not dead. If it's force, we're not dead because we can still march the curator. Tapping for blue. Well, why would they put a card on top? Why would they put a card on top that's not Violent Outburst or Force of Negation? Why would they put Architects of Will on top? They put a card on the bottom with the second scry. They're just trying to rub it in, inflict maximum psychic damage. No, they didn't. They don't have it. And it's gonna be very hard to lose now. Oof, big sigh of relief. For the scry 1, I mean, you just bottom it, right? You just definitely bottom it. You're so likely to hit a 1-mana cycler. You have 2 looks at the Waker. It's very likely to be less looks if you keep it on top. Right? I mean, so, again, besides that, I don't think the deck is, like, horribly built for a Naya deck, right? I don't think that anything here feels like it's just terrible. But, like, this is the problem with Naya. And, you need more fetch lands. You know, you need 4 fetch lands. Main deck sideboard's fine. If you like Naya, this is fine. But that's, again, your issue. The classic Naya trap. Yeah, I guess that was probably the rationale. I guess that makes sense. Okay, gonna Solitude this Curator. Gonna do it before they get more scries. So in our instep. Yeah, the classic Naya trap. Playing Naya. Yeah, I'm having a good week, Fern. Having a good week. I have 2 RCQs this weekend. Although, like, I can't find any. I'm missing 2 Fiery Impulse. Nobody I know has any extra copies of Fiery Impulse. The card is just totally dried up. I can't find my old bulk. I can't find it. I can't find them at all. Can't find them in any stores. So if we go into Darkhound in Arlington tomorrow, and you want to bring 2 Fire Impulse, I'll be able to find them almost definitely. But it is. It's been a lot of like time and effort for a couple of commons from 8 years ago. Can't believe we're turn 8 and I've only used 3 minutes on the clock. I mean, every decision I made this game I think has been super straightforward. And now we're in garbage time. Just for me to go for Yorion instead, doesn't really matter. What's my organizational system for my collection? I had it like all in binders and boxes that were like more sorted before the move, but it got a little between like playing tournaments and loaning cards to people and moving. It's all pretty disorganized at the moment. But I also like remember. I remember like not like giving those cards away or throwing the box that had them away a while ago. Fisticuff, 18 months, appreciate you. Did you have a show for your Ashford idea using Mox Tent Light? I don't have a list together, no. I don't know if I'm going to, but I don't have one either. Okay, so no endings, marches, spreading seas, and force, endurance, chalice, Dovin's V2. Why the choice of -1 march +1 force? It's a little bit deeper than that, I think, right? Because I'm also up at Verdict. I think I'm down a land. I've changed the list a lot. It's like I didn't just start there. I started testing Abundant Harvests. And changed the list a lot, and then I eventually like landed here. But I also think that back when I was playing this deck a lot, Urza Saga was like so popular. It was really ubiquitous. It's not nearly as common these days, so I'm just kind of foregoing it. This hand is really good if it draws a green source in the first 2 draws. But I think I'll use my general rule of thumb of like I have a good matchup here, so I can mulligan the riskier hands. And if I have a bad, if this was a worse matchup though, I'd definitely keep. Yeah, this is I think a hand that is a great example of that concept. When Harvest feels bad, yeah, I agree that it feels bad, but like the theory crash. I mean, I obviously agree because I'm not playing it too, but the reason why I wanted to play test it is like this deck has always had an issue with mana flood, mana screw. It obviously is not like such a detrimental factor that you can't play the deck, but you win a lot of your games to those factors because you're a Yorion deck with lots of like cantrips that just draw a card. And I was really liking Abundant Harvest in Green-Red Prowess, but is also true like that's a very unique deck for what it's worth. But I was liking Harvest a lot in Green-Red Prowess, and I thought about trying it here to mitigate mana flood, mana screw, but I just the sorcery speed I think is too weak. Is it possible to mount Bant control with Kihira instead of Yorion? It is possible, but like the real reason why I always like to be, or almost always like to be 80 card Bant instead of 60 card is that Ice-Fang in control decks it's so much better when you're playing 80 cards because you are one, incentivized to play Abundant Growth. Abundant Growth is like the only card in the format that's going to let you fetch all basics and then have like perfect or almost perfect mana. And have Ice-Fang at Death Touch on turn 3. And then 80 card decks also allow you to play a few extra fetchable targets, which let Ice-Fang be a bit more powerful. Although I am admitting the Snow Duel. Because I think, like, especially playing the Bant Coatl list, I think you just always like fetch Triome and then just get basics after that for when in games where Death Touch and Ice-Fang matters. But since like playing Ice-Fang incentivizes you to play Abundant Growth anyways, and it's just like if you're playing Abundant Growth, Yorion gets so much better. I think that the 80 card version makes a lot of sense, and then also like this is something too, like this is like the only like blue-white X control variant that I think is like good against 4-color Omnath or somewhat even. I'm like not usually very scared to play against 4-color Omnath. Being like really overloaded on Teferi and Jace is a great way to fight that matchup. Yorion is great against them. Force of Negation is good against them. And Force of Negation is kind of hard to find room for in the 60 card version. Blondie, 15 months. Thank you. I think against the Mold of 4, I might just jam the Endurance here. They Violent Outburst. I can Force Pitch Veto. Maybe just waiting is good though. I could wait till I have like 3-drop plus 2-drop up. You're gonna find the 4-color matchup is worse and they all play Emrakul main. That's almost definitely true, yeah. Yeah, I mean this is just like at least my experience from the past. Yeah, the Emrakul main has definitely got to make it way worse though. Although you could beat a freaking Emrakul. Maybe not that easily though. Okay, definitely going to Endurance in response. If I get Subtlety, it's kind of bad, but I'm also like not even dead if they have a Subtlety here. Obviously, you know, not feeling good though. But like beating Force of Negation and Veto here is really good. I could have also pitched Endurance. That would have been the safest, I guess. Can we also run Emrakul main? I don't think we can, no. They do have the Subtlety. That stinks. Yeah, I guess I was supposed to pitch the Ice-Fang. Okay, so now they have 2 Curators, a Subtlety in play. The next turn, I think we're going to go like Teferi, bounce a Curator, Ice-Fang block. Well, they pitch Brazen Borrower. If you hold a Supreme Verdict, you're generally insulated from Emrakul. Yeah, I mean, I have Supreme Verdict and Solitude in the deck. Although I guess if Solitude's in the hand, they can like evoke it a lot of the time. You're gonna so Obstructionist is tech for the Emrakul. I feel like it's just too deep. It's like, and that's also like main decking Obstructionist, which is just like I think awful against Hammer Time and Murktide. I think like doesn't make any sense. Maybe not using Veto as a misplay. I think I was supposed to just evoke the Endurance there, and then I'm just like insulated against everything. It was definitely a misplay, but I think that was the best line. I put this. I did put it on the top. Okay. I think we lead on Teferi. There, F6. Bounce this. Pass. Obstruction of subs cascade with no recourse. I know what it does, but again, that card is main decking a card that's just awful against Murktide and Living and Hammer Time, and also like a plethora of other decks too. It's just embarrassingly bad. I think. I don't think you can main deck it. Yeah, no Death Touch does feel bad here. So both at me. Maybe we need to find Verdict. Solitude, I don't think does it. Why wasn't Veto the best line? Not a criticism. If you just slam the Veto there and your opponent untaps with like, it doesn't like beat Mystical Dispute in the sense that if your opponent has another Cascade spell, they can untap and go Mystical Dispute or Cascade Dispute up. Although I guess we did have the Endurance. I just think evoking the Endurance and untapping and then being able to go Teferi with Dovin's Veto up next turn seemed really good. They cycled the Curator. That's really interesting. You know, 15 months and Dirty Dan to 3. Thank you. Yeah, but I think I like the just evoking Endurance, and we're gonna lose game 2. Hopefully win game 3. Chase, 2 months. I actually have full art Meddling Mages, Chase. Oh, at least you want to give them a magic line. Don't worry about it. Keep your full art Meddling Mages. But thank you for the thought. Also, what's nice about evoking Endurance there is it comes back. Equinox, thank you for the tier 1. Appreciate you. Do you think blue-white must be Bant to fight the meta? I mean, I think that I don't have such a strong opinion to say that it must be Bant, but I think that this version has an extremely similar matchup spread to blue-white, with the exception of like being a lot better against 4-color. It's like maybe it's a little bit more nuanced than that, where I think blue-white is a little bit better against the big mana decks. I think this version is also maybe better against Murktide than blue-white is, but I think both are good against Murktide. When is Boros Reckoner, Boros Charm, Azura's Charm being brewed? Dude, I was able to one time in Limited assemble Boros Reckoner, Boros Charm, Unflinching Courage, and I just couldn't get anybody to deal damage to my Boros Reckoner. And I'm afraid that's what's going to happen if I brew it in Modern. I think I'm going to counterspell this. Oh, what's so awkward about the grief, though, is like it makes my verdict so bad. Them not knowing my hand is also really important, though. So hopefully they don't have Dispute. If they do have Dispute, I could force back. Okay, they don't have Dispute. Okay, I think we Yorion in hand here. Obviously not very afraid of them just slamming Living in this turn. Although upkeep Violent Outburst plus Force Up would be a classic loss, although we do love drawing this Chalice. Just resolves. Okay, I'm gonna slam the Jace then. They might have Dispute, but I think if Chalice just resolves here, it's an easy Jace slam. We have the leaning Jace today. Force pitching Charlotte's Agent, so maybe they have Beseiju, Foundation Breaker. Very odd, I think, for them to not force the Chalice, though. Playing Bring to Light Valkyrie in the deck. I mean, I think Bring to Light Valkyrie is a bit awkward when it's like, you know, about as power, you know, maybe not. Teferi Time Raveler is like a comparable power level to Bring to Light for Valkyrie. Valkyrie's more powerful, but it doesn't require you to just totally distort your deck's construction. 12-ounce skill, thank you for the Twitch Prime, appreciate you. Okay, so they have 3 cards in their hands. Grief is obviously very good against my Supreme Verdict holding, which is a problem. I think when the main phase is Ice-Fang, maybe find a Chalice. Still have the Force up, obviously. There's the Chalice. 80 cards, by the way. 80 cards, by the way. That's how you play these decks, baby. Psycho's Curator, 4 cards in hand. Shocks in a Breeding Pool. Yeah, Chalice is also in this deck when you're gonna want to play on X=1. So again, in Bant you want a lot of really versatile sideboard cards. So in this deck, Chalice is Cascade Hate, Murktide Hate, Hammer Time Hate, Burn Hate. It comes in a lot. Okay, sure would like to draw a 5th land at some point, but we had such a good top deck, I don't think we need to be so concerned. Subtlety is a good guess, yeah. Makes a lot of sense. Am I high on Primeval Titan now? Primeval Titan's a good deck. It's a good deck at the moment. Against 4 color, would put Chalice on 1? Usually 1. Usually 1. There's maybe a few situations where that's not the case, but... better against the Traverse version. The Chalice versus Traverse version. Oh, I guess maybe, you know, when I say when someone asks what do you Chalice on against 4 color, I assume they're saying I'm a deck that's main decking Chalice. What number do I name? I don't recommend siding in Chalice against them. I would recommend siding out Chalice against 4 color. Sideways for the 10 months, appreciate you. But if you have it in the deck, you want a Chalice on 1. If you need Fire Impulses for SQ, I'm assuming it's Phoenix. It's a blue-red deck. I'm gonna play the Creativity deck. I was really winning a lot with Creativity when I was playing a lot of Pioneer, winning about as much as Phoenix was. I think the deck is also awesome, and Everos has been playing a lot of it and liking it. I was probably supposed to play, sorry, Solitude into turn there. But Everos has been playing a lot of it, liking the deck, so I'm wanting to kind of go with my gut and play that. Yeah, Phantom, I assume that you were trolling, asking about Brainstorm and Modern, because we've actually had that question a couple times, but Brainstorm is too good for Modern. It is one of the best cards in Legacy. It's not legal in the format, but if it were, I think it would be too powerful. I think I lose to some things with this hardcast Solitude, but there's a good chance they have a second Subtlety. Just get some pressure into play. But now I lose to, like, Foundation Breaker plus Land plus Cascade Spell plus Dispute, which is, like, I don't know. Doesn't make a lot of sense to play around. How much have you played Titan? Do I have to sub? I don't do donation decks, but if I had to play a deck for every time someone subscribed, I would have to play like 12 different decks a month. It would just be way too much to play the deck of every single subscriber, you know? Have some mercy on me. Otawara my own Chalice in response to a spell here is kind of nice. I might just pass, though. Awesome. Love that they fetch, because now I've got lethal with the Solitude attack. Thank you for subbing anyway, despite me not playing Titan. Everyone has a price. Yeah, my price is your mother's phone number. I've ever brewed a Titan deck. Yeah, I actually had one over the weekend, last weekend. But it was actually better with like Hour of Promise. It was the Turbo Emrakul deck started off with Titan. All right, opponent. I got 7 damage. You're at 7. Okay. Weird. This has been a weird game. Long match 1, but, you know, that's what we sign up for when the title of the stream is Bant Control. I think that, like, Merfolk players, and this is, you know, meant to be... I don't know, this is, you know, not meant to be a roast, but I think Merfolk players have the issue of always trying to solve Merfolk's problems, you know? They're always trying to solve the problems and, like, just be not weak to the cards that you're intrinsically weak to as a Merfolk deck. But I think it's just kind of fine to have that attitude and just be like, I'm going to be, you know, kind of weak to Solitude. Mortuary Myers Street Wraith, interesting. Don't know what's going on. I think the attitude of I'm just going to be kind of weak to Fury because I'm playing a tribal deck is fine, and not trying to solve all the problems is fine. Not that many decks even play Fury. Like, the 4-color Omnath plays 1 usually. Alright, Grief pitching Death Shadow. Okay, we saw a deck that was playing Rakdos Scam and Shadow yesterday. It was a deck tech. I don't know if that's what's going on here. Trolling in the Deep, thank you for the 11 months. Appreciate you. How do you feel about taking Burn to Modern RCQ? I think Burn to Modern RCQ is fine. Make sure you know how Deflecting Palm works on blocking creatures. Or blocked creatures. That it doesn't work, but besides that, I think it'll be fine. Yeah, I think Burn is a totally... It's like still even like a little underplayed, also. Deck I would recommend. Yeah, it should be in the Stream Decker. Played it earlier this week. Although, I mean, it's Stream Decker. It's... Wait, when did I play the Emrakul deck? Because I just did... Oh, sorry, I never uploaded the Stream Decker because Stream Decker was down that day. That's right. Okay, hold on. Yeah, I mean, this is classic 80-card Bant, though. Like, these, like, mana flood, mana screw things, just they happen more than you want them to. I could put it in the Stream Decker. Alright. Maybe just need to rip a verdict. But I still recommend DRC Burn more traditional. I haven't played, like, a ton of either. But I will say, dude, every single draw step's been a land this game. I think. No, we drew 1 abundant heart growth into a land. I will say that I have a friend who's been playing the deck and liking it. But I haven't played it in a while, so I don't know if I can necessarily recommend it to you. Okay, so I think Chalice and 1's probably gonna be pretty good against them.
What's up? It's me, your friend, Aspiring Spike.
Jordy, think of the cheer. Gonna put back Force of Negation. Dress Down is good against Scourge of the Skyclaves. Can be good against Grief. Want the cheap removal. I think I want to keep in the Spreading Seas too, though. Don't really want to try to over sideboard. I can maybe cut 1 growth because I'm bringing in Chalice. Yeah, I think I want like at least 2 Dress Downs. Delicious Weenies. Thank you for the 2 months. Maybe cut the 4th Teferi Hero, 4th Counterspell. How good a Veil Summer in this deck? I think Veil Summer is horrible in these Yorion decks, these Yorion like fair decks, where I think these Yorion decks have a big issue with making sure that they have a density of sideboard cards for the linear matchups, and I think they have a great game 1 against like most non-linear matchups. And I think that the fact that these Omnath decks play like 3 Veil of Summers, 2 Veil of Summers in the sideboard, when Veil of Summer isn't even good in the mirror, is just kind of a joke. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna try to steal this next turn because we can draw the white card. I'm a big Veil of Summer hater when it comes to Veil and these like Bant Yorion decks and the 4-color Yorion decks. I think it's you know, it's not a good use of the sideboard slot. That being said, I also like am probably somewhat biased because You know, Veil of Summer murdered my clan as a child. Okay, I think I'm just gonna keep the Spreading Seas plan going here. Okay, thank you, Doc. I thought I didn't click that. So someone suggested this when we were playing the Turbo Emrakul deck on Monday, was Ancient Stirrings, and I wasn't sure about it, but the more I think about it, I wonder if Ancient Stirrings over Profane Tutor just to try to be faster makes sense, because you know you are really in on, you're just kind of all in on the Emrakul as fast as possible. So I was thinking that today, if we have time for Third League, we'll play that. If I play Bant Coco, what card should I put inside for the mirror? I haven't figured out the... Many people play the deck at local store, that's funny. I haven't figured out the sideboard plans for the mirror yet. I've not figured out the sideboard plans for the mirror. What breed is Athena? She's a husky mix. Mostly husky, though. Ancient Stirrings of Interest Impulse, too miserable. So what's cool about Stirrings is it hits Golos and Emrakul. You have a lot of... Wait, they didn't take Jace? You have a lot of colorless threats to hit, which is always like a good formula for Jace. I'm just gonna force this, Solitude this now. The green is for Ice-Fang and Brundagross, so you can blink them. Seems interesting. Yeah, it's a very light green splash, but it doesn't cost you much to splash it. And obviously it makes your Yorion's a lot more powerful too. So they let the Grief die. It's good for me. What do they pitch? Turok? Also good for me. They have a Bolt for my Jace. Thankfully we've got a Yorion. Hopefully they don't have another discard effect, but they do have two. We do have 2 Spreading Seas in play still. Awesome. Do unlock red spells for a turn, but I think just double Spreading Seas there, Blood Crypts is definitely correct here. I mean, I don't know what I'm even saying. Like, there's no like, just kind of talking out loud. There's no way we're ever not blinking these Spreading Seas. So I think this is maybe for a Turok, because they pitched one. It's a really good card of the matchup. Although maybe they pitch it because they got double Spreading Seas. Deck tech for bad. If you post a link in chat, I can take a look. The Jund Shadowless I've been playing with, been revisiting. Cool. We were playing with Jund Shadow like at the beginning of this season some. It's been one thing I've been like kind of also thinking to circle back to, so this would be maybe good for me too. Should have hit the charm on top of my deck. Okay, 2 super duper lopsided games. These Spreading Seas are definitely a lot worse on the draw. I think on the draw I might do something like this. Just get the Abundant Growth, all the Dress Downs in. Dress Down just being so good against, seeing that they're on Turok too, I'm like, I want the rest of the Dress Downs, the last Dress Down. I'm just trying to say control every time I tune in. Dude, these used to be like a normal comment. I used to be one of the, control guys of Twitch. Okay, I would cut the Grim Flayers for Dragon Rage's Channelers. Maybe kind of a boring suggestion, but I sure do think Grim Flayer is not good. Okay, let's keep this. I think maybe put back the Jace. Maybe close. The Abundant Growth make my Yorion a good card advantage engine, though. So when I was playing Jund Shadow, I really liked playing Riveteer's Charm and Dragon Rage's Channeler. I also think this is, I think, a big mistake in deck building, playing 4 Unearth in a deck without any 3-mana creatures. Unearth is, like, at its best, obviously, when you're getting a 3-mana creature back. It is just not that powerful when it's returning Tarmogoyf, Grimflayer, Ragavan, Death Shadow. And I think you're not very incentivized to play these cards, with each other like this. And I strongly encourage you to consider not playing not playing Unearth. I think you should be playing Dragon Mage's Channeler and Bauble over Unearth and Grimflayer. I think you should probably be on like 19 lands. Get to play the 4th Riveteer's Charm. Although I think when you're playing this many Riveteer's Charms like you are, I see that you're playing 3 Terminates main, which I think is too high if you have 3 Riveteer's Charm, because you already have this was also obviously a really good draw, by the way, but you already have a lot of answers to. I think I'm gonna pitch the ending, so this can deal with the Dash Dragavan. But you already have a lot of answers to Murktide, so I would be on like something like maybe 4 Charm main, 1 Terminate main, maybe 2nd Terminate side, and this was going to let you play more 1 mana removal spells, so something like 19 lands, 4 Riveteer's Charm, 1 Terminate, 2 Fatal Push 4 Bolts, or 3 Fatal Push 4 Bolts. I also don't like the 4th Inquisition very much. I do use like the first copy of Wrenn and 6. I think the first copy of Wrenn and 6 is usually pretty good. You also didn't. You have failed your Gigantha check. You have failed your Gigantha check. This deck meets Gigantha's requirements. Does not have Gigantha. You should be playing Gigantha. I know it's the most boring card ever, but you should be playing it. I don't think you need these Surgicals when you have Endurance and Riveteer's Charm. The Fulminator Mage planned with Unearth is good, but you just can't main deck that many. Chalice on the board, even with the Chalice on the board, it's like it's worth it for every single game 1. But you also could just play Void Mirror over Chalice on the board, and then you get to keep Gigantha. What if they start playing Spara for the Unearth? Yeah, you could do that too. Like you would have to play like Spara over Riveteer's Charm, but I'm just I'm providing like the version I think is the best. I like the Riveteer's Charm DRC no Unearths for Dun Shadow, but you can, the world is your oyster. I think I'm going to counter this so I can put Yorion on my hand next turn. I mean, the Pro White is just so good against me. Although if they're just playing it as a 2/2/2/1 here, it likely means that they just don't have land 4. They do have another Turok in their hand, but maybe I can draw another Counterspell. Maybe they just, don't hit well. Although, yeah, I think I'll play this turn. Little geek. Yeah, you cannot play Chalice with Gigantha. Alright, so those are my thoughts on the archetype. How do I find out where and when RCQs are happening? I'm new to all that. So for me, there's like a pretty active Facebook group that I've been a part, just like very active in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But there is like an RCQ locator on the Wizards website. If you don't have an internet group you could be a part of. If you're new to this is also like not maybe gonna be helpful advice. I'm sure someone in chat can link the RCQ locator, by the way. But I would definitely recommend, if you're new, trying to make an effort to make friends in the community. Easier said than done, maybe, but while friends are just good to have, and Magic is largely about the gathering, and being part of the community is really nice. They can also help you, stay on top of tournaments and stuff, and is just very helpful to have friends who are also grinding with you, able to cheer you on, able to help you stay on top of stuff. Thank you, Dia. Could have attacked first, but they're a shadow deck, so I think you're not supposed to. So I'll definitely double block if they attack here. One card in their hand. If it's an Undying effect, okay, it's not an Undying effect. Only 4 damage on the Yorion too. Okay, Lightning Bolt's it, we're taking 3. Then we get to march this for 5 mana and play a Chalice on 1. Have a Ragavan or an Ice-Fang in play. I guess I'll just go minus this, and then Chalice in 1. This way I can have the Teferi in play already. Pink Ranger, thank you for the 2 months, appreciate you. Oh yeah, they could have also killed the Ice-Fang. No! Opponent! What even hurts more about this Flame Rift is I'm like 99% sure that this opponent did a deck tech yesterday, and I told them to play Flame Rift over Gut Shots. Maybe that doesn't hurt. Maybe that's fine. I'm like 99% sure this is the person who submitted a deck tech for Rakdos Scam Shadow, and they had Gut Shots, and I was like, play Flame Rift over Gut Shot. Yeah, Modern Horizons 2 cards, like Flame Rift, way too strong. Yeah, GG's Gilligan. How those Flame Rifts treating ya? With $10 well spent, huh? $10 well spent. Oh, man. Fun match, though. Fun match. Not a very good hand. I might keep. I might keep. Got Spreading Season to play. Oh, that wasn't your deck against Spara. I see. I was wrong then. Modern Black-White Stoneblade. Okay, so if you're going to be playing a white-based mid-range Stoneforge Mystic deck in Modern, you need to be playing 4 copies of Esper Sentinel. No negotiations. Thank me later. I see a card that's pretty easily cuttable for it. Unfortunately, the Lingering Souls I think can definitely go. Another thing too, I think that this is classic Modern deck building. 4 Inquisitions before the 4th copy of Thoughtseize. But oh man, I say this every single day because we get like deck techs like this every single day. That Thoughtseize is better than Inquisition in Modern, like full stop. And there's almost no list where I would want to main deck the 4th copy of Inquisition before the 4th copy of Thoughtseize, hitting Murktide Regent, Omnath, Solitude, Fury, Karn the Great Creator, Primeval Titan is just all super duper relevant, and Burn is just not a tier 1 deck like it used to be back when Inquisition was like this main deck 4 of over the Thoughtseizes. So I think it's good always to point that out. Besides that, I feel like the rest of the list seems to be... Oh, what a good draw. Wait, I am going to cycle this, though. The rest of the list seems to be fine. I want to cut the Lingering Souls for Esper Sentinels. I think I want to switch to the Thoughtseize Inquisition numbers. I might want to play the 3rd Turok over the 4th Liliana of the Veil. I might be interested in playing like 1 copy of Hive of the Eye Tyrant. It also kind of looks like I'm not usually a big fan of playing a Triome as your Prismatic Ending 3rd color. I know this is like somewhat common deck building to play a Triome as the 3rd color, but a deck like this with like lots of 1-mana spells, like a deck that really wants its lands to all enter untapped. I'm a much bigger fan of having a shock land. So like in this case would probably be a Temple Garden or Overgrown Tomb or whatever. Or actually, it's probably best for it to be red. It's best for this to be a red land anyways because Yawgmoth plays both Urborg and Yavimaya, and if you have a red shock land and they have one of those in play, you can Prismatic Ending on 4 and exile your opponent's Yawgmoth. And there's like I don't see much reason for this to be green. That's a real reason for it to be red. But if you like need a 3rd color for your Prismatic Ending on turn 3, I think you just kind of want that land to be enter untapped. So like I would recommend playing Blood Crypt or Sacred Foundry. Okay, into my Murktide opponent who's stumbling on lands, I'm just gonna put Yorion in my hand here. No need to like just run face first into a Counterspell. I think you're going to be in a Black-White Scam variant to keep a Grief Solitude Ephemerate. You can do that. I don't think anything wrong with it. My issue like with those versions is like Stoneforge Mystic is not that good to Ephemerate. Obviously, you have some synergy there. You can, you know, activate it and ephemerate in response, but I always feel like those lists are light on ephemerate targets. Yeah, I think we have the verdict there, unfortunately. As far as the sideboard goes, I don't like the Strict Proctor very much. You have way too many burn sideboard cards. Kaya can count as a burn sideboard card. You don't need to be playing 6 anti-burn cards, though. The 4 Firewalkers are easily cuttable. Kaya's Guile is probably very cuttable, too. When you already have a lot of burn hate, and you have 4 Voidwalker and Ashiaka's Graveyard hate. Dude, all the Ragavans. So they hit an Abundant Growth, which they're kind of incentivized to cast, but then they would let me tap. They would let me resolve Planeswalker. I want to see the 4th Turok in the sideboard for the 4-color matchup in this deck. I want to see maybe the 4th Liliana too, which could come in against Omnath. Ooh. It could come in against Omnath. It can come in against Murktide. It can come in against Toshan and Titan. It's better than like Dam in the sideboard, I think, as like an anti-Murktide card. Yeah, pretty happy to just draw something there that forces them to use their counterspell. Right, so definitely just some loose thoughts. You can play a Manriki Gusari in the sideboard for the Hammer Time matchup too. That's definitely been something that I found to be like fine in the past. Okay, so putting the Heath on top, so if they hit that with Ragavan, they don't get the Heath. Although I think they're like maybe more likely to just go like Bolt Jace and then hold up Counterspell. Have I seen the Vile Hammer list? I haven't. No, I haven't. I've heard of them. I've heard like I've seen comments about people trying it. I don't know that I believe them to be good, but I do believe them to exist. Ooh, interesting draw. Prob, 6 months, appreciate you. Tuning in to watch you seize the day, hell yeah. Obviously, super duper ahead here, not that much to talk about. We have 9 mana for next turn, which can be the Verdict plus 5 drop. So if they go Murktide here, it's probably best for just Verdict into Supreme Verdict on their turn, so we can maybe hit a dash Ragavan if they draw their red source. Obviously with Teferi in play, you don't need to even think about playing around anything. a little bit of exaggeration. Ice-Fang is also pretty interesting. This means I can just use Ice-Fang to kill the Murktide if I want to. Teferi plus Ice-Fang, always a pretty good combination against Murktide. Okay, Switch Prime, appreciate ya. What's the pull for playing this list over the Bant Coco list? I mean, you know, what's the pull for playing any archetype over any archetype, right? It's like, they're both Bant decks, but they're like completely different archetypes, I would say. I mean, maybe not completely different, but... you know, this is a like traditional control deck that is incredibly resilient to creature removal in a way that the Bant Company deck is not resilient to creature removal. That's, you know, one of, if not the biggest draws to this version. Also, this version gets to play a ton of counter magic, where the Bant Company plays no counter magic. It's, you know, just very, very different deck. Although I do like to hear the question, why this over the Bant Company deck? Because, you know, if anything, this is the way more established of the variants. I know I could flicker the Teferi for 1 more loyalty, but like letting my opponent use this 3 mana, I think is worse than the 1 loyalty. You can just Put one of the Spreading Seas on the Misty, so I don't have to crack it, lose a life. This game is also over, you know, kind of classic talking to fill up with garbage time. You know, just play the classic control game plan of which spell are they going to concede to. And it was that one. Okay, so against Murktide, we're going to bring in the Endurances and the Chalices. We're going to be cutting the Force of Negations, the Spreading Seas, although they were pretty good that game. And then I think we're also either cutting the 3rd Jace the Mind Sculptor or the 4th Hero of Dominaria. I think I'll cut the 4th Hero. Yeah, Murktide matchup always, or almost always, really good with this deck. Do you have a recommendation for sideboard cards add to the Stoneblade deck? Yeah, I wanted the 4th Turok in the sideboard. I wanted a Liliana. There was hold on, there's another card. Oh, I thought like 1 Needle against the Red and 6 decks would be good. I think it also helps against the Yawgmoth matchup. I thought the first Pit the Needle would be good. Besides that, I'm not 100% sure how to build the sideboard. Sideboard's always so hard to build without just getting a lot of reps in. Okay, we can keep this hand. Bad against a turn 1 Ragavan, but, you know, that's modern. That is a very often modern. Bad against a turn 1 Ragavan. What's your opinion on Canister playing Hydra, Crisis, and Amulet? I mean, it seems fine. Canister's a pretty bright guy. Interesting. I don't really care too much about this, I think. Canister's very smart. I think that if he's doing it, it is very likely viable. I will say that I feel like I see this trend a lot with Amulet players where... I'm trying to think of a good comparison. I think Amulet is very similar to Reanimator in the sense that it is such a powerful deck with such a powerful linear game plan that it is... Amulet is like the hardest deck to play test in Modern, or one of the hardest decks to play test in Modern, because it can be hard to tell if your new tech is the truth or if your new tech is just like suboptimal, but your like linear Amulet game plan is just like winning you the game, you know? If that makes sense. So it's like it's just such a hard deck to play test. I'm not saying that the Crisis tech is wrong, but it's very easy to just like start like having a high end of variance with suboptimal tech. And my point is, it's just very hard to know for sure that you've ever like found the best Amulet version, and even when you do find it, it like changes the next week. You said the same about Reanimator. Yeah. The Reanimator is very similar, where Reanimator is like linear nut draws are really easy to like just run super hot with and win, and not know if you have the best version. But the Aether Mage's Touch version is the best version. So hopefully we can just resolve this Teferi. Unlikely, but we have 2 Teferis at least. Yeah, I think just going on the Endurance plan seems fine here. Do we get to play much Legacy? Not anymore. I used to be exclusively a Legacy player, but I haven't played the format in like 2 years at this point. Into the Treasure. I think it just plays too bad into a 1-mana Counterspell, especially when they're using the Dispute. It's like likely they have another 1 or a Spell Pierce, and it's just like it's such a disaster if they have one. It's amusing to players that Amulet players thought the deck was unplayable. Someone put 2 Crisis to the sideboard, and now they're like, wow, deck's good actually. Yeah, I mean the Crisis is like they're interesting. They help with your worst matchup, but I don't know. I think people overthink it too. Well, I'm surprised that just like snap resolved. I don't know if they just like didn't have a stop on their instep, but I'm going to play the Fun Raveler here. So I guess they have double spell pierce, which is a-okay with me. I'm just going to bounce an Abundant Growth here. If they want to use a lot of resources to kill this Teferi, that's fine. I just have a second one. Probably don't need to overthink it too much. These are the worst kind of Ragavan games. I think that people just, like, despise being hit by a Ragavan ever. But when my opponent just is, like, dashing Ragavan on turns 2 through 4, it just doesn't really matter that much. If they don't, like, you know, snipe a Teferi on the right turn. Just, like, not that impactful. It buys you a lot of time. Yeah, like, most of the Jace, the Mind Sculptor arts on Magic Online are, like, visually bugged, where he's leaning. And I hope they don't change it. I think I get a little bit of a kick out of it. Why Prairie stream or something like Glacial Fortress and Gaija? Well, I mean, it should be kind of simple that this is a fetchable target, and Glacial Fortress Castle are not fetchable targets. And in a deck like this, where you're aggressively fetching a lot of basics because you're an Ice-Fang deck, the Prairie stream getting you that second untapped white mana for Supreme Verdict while also helping you cast Archmage's Charm is very commonly a good land to grab. Okay, opponents definitely drawn well here. So they might just dash Ragavan and put me to 5? No, they're holding up some counter magic. So I'm going to try to keep my life total high. So I'm 1 mana short of just slamming Yorion next turn. I think I'm supposed to take this hit again. I can go Teferi plus Solitude next turn if I pitch the Yorion. I'll take a top decks too. Including that one. I think any white card's good. Hopefully they don't have a counterspell here. Welcome to Murktide. Oh no, I did not mean to sacrifice this. No, I don't have a basic. Fuck. No, I can't Yorion in the hand. I'm just dead. I know I have the Solitude, but now I can't Yorion in the hand. Did I have to right click? I don't have to right click on it, do I? I don't know what I did wrong. I just must have misclicked the sack ability. I had islands? Oh, so I could have played the Misty. I don't know. I'm just kind of just tilt conceding there. Yeah, I think I double clicked too fast. Okay, we're on the play. With a hand, I don't think we can mulligan. Pretty good draw. Just having that second green for the endurance matters a lot this game. I mean, I sacked. I didn't see islands in the deck, dude. My opponent is straight up not. They are not casting this Ragavan. I've got like plenty of instant speed answers to it too. I think I'm actually gonna just main phase an endurance here. Stonewalls them so hard. There's no, outside of like pitching subtlety, there's not really anything they can do to stop it. They're pretty far away from Delirium. Have I considered adding red for red and Omnath? If you play red for red and Omnath, supporting Counterspell and Archmage's Charm and Supreme Verdict is difficult, and you're also like a lot less incentivized to play as many Supreme Verdicts as I'm playing if you do play Omnath. Obviously, those cards are really good, but I don't think that it really works. I think I'm going to save this Chalice for a turn where I can double spell. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to just jam the Endurance since the 2 open mana right then. They have 3 card types in the yard at the moment. Ragavan, 5 mystery cards in hand. Tap Spirebluff Canal for turn. Okay, so Endurance here. Definitely hoping to just draw a land, and I can go Chalice plus Teferi. Twiddlefish, thank you for the 3 months. Appreciate you. Okay. So what's nice about this is like it guarantees I get to resolve the Chalice. It's bad if they have heat right now. I don't know if they're going to immediately cast this heat if they have it, though. They probably won't. But, like, they can't Spell Pierce, they can't Dispute. They do have heat. And so they have Ragavan, 2 mystery cards. They're going to prioritize the Chalice. If I can bounce a Channeler and have the Chalice in play, that's going to be pretty huge. I can't, but I can play Chalice plus March a Channeler. And the Ragavan is shut off until they find their Otawara. I don't think that they brought in any artifact destruction. Also, Necromantia. I've been liking Necromantia more lately. Especially like with just like Amulet Titan being like way more popular than it has been too. It's been pretty good. Okay. Put a card on top. Is Teferi minus hoping to draw land too risky? Yeah, I mean the downside is like you just like lose the game if you miss. I think it's unnecessarily risky when this line is incredibly powerful and very likely to be game winning or effectively game winning. No, Dash Ragavan still gets countered by Chalice in 1. Oh, Magic Online. Oh no, actually, I've never seen the judge get that one wrong. I'm sorry with all the judge slander this week. I just think it's kind of funny. They have Pierce or Dispute. Well, at least Pierce doesn't get. Pierce gets countered, but Dispute would have been rough. Okay, Murktide or Shredder. They can't Murktide here. They might Ragavan just to connive. Yeah, or Channeler just to connive here. This card's Ragavan. Murktide mystery card in hand. I'm having a hard time finding land number 5, but I will bounce this Channeler, lock it underneath the Chalice. But it's likely to Murktide me this turn. Is there a way to make this 60? I don't think you should make it 60. I think it's way better at 80. Ice-Fang is like, Ice-Fang is so much better with Abundant Growth, and it's better in like the 80 card deck because you have more fetchable targets. Ice-Fang has more breathing room, but I don't know. It's like I think I've posted like maybe 60 card versions in the past, but if you think 60 is better, you can build it as 60. So they only have 1 instant sorcery for a Murktide in the yard. There's Murktide, 3 mystery cards. Oh no, Channeler, 2 mystery cards. So very likely has Counterspell up. And his Channeler, 2 mystery cards. I think I'm just supposed to main phase Endurance. And this is going to make it very hard for them to connive. It is going to let them hit me with Murktide, but I can take a hit from Murktide. Should be able to block the Channeler for a little bit. I think if they didn't have a Counterspell, they would have played the Channeler to connive. They've already shown their willingness to do that. Another Chalice doesn't do much. I think we'll play that on 0 just to stop bobbles. I don't think it's really going to do much more than that this game. Oh, you know what it's actually going to do? It's going to let my opponent connive. Damn it. Oh, damn it. Ledger Shredder's way too good. Okay, I guess we'll just pass with Charm up then, and then we can take four more with the Chalice on 1. We don't need to be afraid of being burned out too badly. We can maybe set up for Jace plus Counterspell the same turn. We can maybe find Ice-Fang or Solitude end of turn. Why no block the 4/4? They can't heat bolt. Why no block the 4/4? I have a 3/4. If they have a 4/4 and I block the 4/4, my 3/4 dies. They do have the Otawara. Damn it. Brutal. Although now I can steal Channeler. My mana's awkward where I have the Forest though, so I can't Charm plus Counterspell. I do have Delirium though, so stealing Channeler could set up for a double block, or at the very least like force them to use a Counterspell here. They graveyard the Spell Pierce, which can't be good for me really. Although I mean I can pay for Spell Pierce, maybe they already have one. I think it's likely to be Counterspell, so they Counterspell this. And then I think I'm just taking 4 and then trying to... oh, what? They have a Burn Spell? Guess Burn Spell seems somewhat likely. Aether Gust the Channeler. Okay, I cannot believe they boarded an Aether Gust. Okay, so we get to resolve something. We get to resolve something. I think it's probably just has to be Teferi Tuck, which is not ideal. They did put their Channeler on the bottom. Second Shredder. Heat's Fairy. Yeah, Supreme Verdict Waiting Room. Do we still have verdicts? We have, I think, 4 verdicts in the deck. Yeah, we still have 4 verdicts in the deck. 80 cards, though. We're putting me down to 4. I think I just want to Abundant Growth first, try to find verdicts. If we find Solitude, we have a few different options here. We can just go Yorion in the hand, pitch Solitude, lose to Counterspell, Jace the Mind Sculptor, lose to Counterspell, but Jace the Mind Sculptor gives them 2 connives, so, and doesn't definitely find me a white card, so seems like the best version, the best option. Deck tech for Sanet, can take a look. Do you know their hand is Murktide? I can't remember if they shuffle. I should have kept better track of it. Obviously should have kept better track of it. Then to Lightning Bolt, then to Connive plus Ragavan. Okay, Jund Saga. So in my experience, like, with Jund, I like Jund Saga, I don't know that playing Fury and Ren and 6 is worth losing Giganta, but it's also because like you're pretty incentivized to meet Giganta's companion requirement just to make your mana way more functional. The mana is just so much better if you don't play these cards. Okay, really surprised they played their land with the Shredder in play. It looks like they are playing their Murktide. It's a very tense game. I also think Riveteer's Charm is very awkward in a Fable of the Mirror Breaker deck. I think that it is a very good card. You can play one. Finally. Finally, although, that being said, we died a Bolt, but we died a Bolt like exactly this turn. Okay. Chalice on 1, making things a lot better. Plus 10 minutes. Yeah, I think that's going to be a very common thing today, which is why I like to play this deck on Magic Online. You just never have to worry about losing the time battle, but on paper... in paper, it's like, you know, a different story. Chalice is on 1 and 0. 1 and 0. I already did Chalice in 1 and just Chalice in 0 to stop the bobbles. Yeah, I'm still working on the John Saga deck. I mean, you can see my take in the Stream Decker. One thing is I've always really disliked the main deck Pirate Spellbomb in these John Saga lists. I think that card's only role in the 75 is to be able to kill Sanctifier and Vec in sideboard games, so just play it in sideboard games. I do think you want 4... sorry, I keep saying but I think you do want 4 copies, or 4 Urza Saga targets in the 75, or in the main deck, rather. And that can either be the main deck Pithing Needle, or my personal favorite Brainstone, which is really good to put back extra lands with Wrenn and 6. But I don't think like this build is bad. I don't really think that there's any like super wrong way to build. I only have 1 more fetch, so I'm gonna save it. I don't think there's any like super wrong way to build the deck either. I think that it has tons of merits, tons of strength, and like you absolutely can play 1 Reverser's Charm. I don't think it's optimal. You can play 1 Kolaghan's Command. I don't think it's optimal. I really like Fable a lot in Gen Saga. I would play 4 Fable over those. I like Tyros Tracker over Liliana, but it's just kind of hard to like really like declare that any like one deck building decision like this is like super duper incorrect, you know. So this may be the turn that I fetch. We need this to attack, not me. Yeah. My version of Gen Saga is in the Stream Decker. I do like that list a lot. That's what I recommend to you for, you know, these reasons. I will say that Collective Brutality is probably like not necessary, where Urza Saga helps you a lot in the burn matchup, and dedicating 2 sideboard cards for burn when you already have like a pretty solid burn matchup, I think, is not necessary. Okay, there's my Solitude. I guess I'm gonna put back these 2 and slam a hero. Maybe slamming hero is not great, but I think we'll be fine. Do we really not have a garbage time emote? I commissioned a garbage time emote, but my emote artist is currently going through the triple threat of COVID, newborn baby, and just bought a house, so she can take all the time she needs. Play land. I'm not playing the land because I'm scared I'm going to click on the Prismatic Vista and die. If I just if I double click on the Prismatic Vista like I did, if I misclicked in game 2, I just die. If I just accidentally click on it twice, the game ends, and I don't think I could psychologically handle it, so I intentionally didn't play the land to avoid that misclick. You can growth. You can't growth. There's a Chalice on 1. I know you can. Usually you can growth the Vistas when you're at 1, but there's a Chalice on 1 in play. But it's also like, you know, this is the real reason why I never play control decks on stream again, is because we just get to garbage time, and then every single play is super duper nitpicked. When I have like billions and billions of cards in hand, I can never ever lose under any circumstance, and still every single line is just like and like you know what I mean? It just doesn't matter. Okay, Living In, good matchup. We beat them earlier. Me taking the turn off to Abundant Growth on turn 2 on the draw may be a little too slow here. We'll see. Maybe we just draw land, and if they do Living In, we go Living In, bounce a creature, set up for a Verdict.
What's up? It's me, your friend, Aspiring Spike.
Ava, thank you for the 18 months. You missed your 13th line drop plus game that you usually want. Yes, thank you. No, their name is, yeah, we thought their name was, okay, double Street Wraith. We'll just see what happens, right? Thoughts on a Renegade Rallier and Bant Defibrate? I think you could easily play Renegade Rallier in the Bant deck. I haven't tried it yet. I think it's good, but I don't know exactly what you cut for it, and I don't know if it's better than your other 3-drops. Yeah, this is also, we talk about this a lot, but they also have the Architect's Will to try to stop me from hitting lands, although they don't necessarily know I'm stuck on lands. I say this a lot. The density of Twitch chat suggestions, which are like, hey, let's add this, grindy 3-drop is, it's too high. Okay. So the top of my library was 2 lands, we have a chance. Or sorry, Teferi 2 lands, we have a chance. And then they don't have another, like, Violent Outburst. Oh yeah, Violent Outburst, it kills me anyway. It's just the fair and square way. Hey, Coatl, how's it going? It's okay, got a good matchup. Stumbled a little bit that game. Hard matchup to stumble in, but not only is the matchup like not too bad game 1, you get to cut all the kind of awkward cards for sorry, what's this? Chalice. For Force of Negation, Veto, Endurance, Chalice of the Void. The deck is like a lean, mean, living end killing machine for most part. But it's living in, you can still lose. Ball, thank you, Twitch Prime. Appreciate you. What if they accidentally click to cast living end? Not that there. I do not play to misclicks on this channel. Especially just during leagues, right? It's like way better testing to just concede here. It's, you know what I mean? Why the 4th Verdict instead of the Deluge? I want the 4th Verdict. I mean, I would play. I'm playing the. I don't even like really view those cards as being in the same like universe. Maybe that's a bit hyperbolic, but it's not really a question of Deluge versus Supreme Verdict. But in this deck, you're way more interested in, I think, the Planeswalkers as sources of card advantage rather than the Deluge. Because like with Yorion, I mean, Deluge gives you some selection, but like that recurring card advantage, I think, is better here. It makes you better against 4-color Omnath. I was on like 4 Deluge for a long time, and like slowly started switching them with Jaces, and just kind of like the Jaces a lot more here. Ooh, good draw, good draw. Saying it's really soft to a grief though, because they can grief the Veto, and then when they living in, they can grief the Verdict. This list used to play a Jace Deluge over the Verdict. I'm up to 4 Teferi. I used to play 3 Teferi. I'm up to 4. And I don't know. I think I'm down a land overall, which I think is fine because I just flood all the time with this list. Any reason Cosmina Sage is included? Yeah, there's plenty of valid reasons why Cosmina's not here, but I still don't think you're ready to hear it, singles. I still don't think you're ready to hear it. What I say to playing Shark Typhoon over Spreading Seas? It's kind of awkward to not play Spreading Seas because you're kind of light on like cards to flicker with Yorion for value. You're like way weaker to big mana decks. Like the big mana matchups go from like okay to like horrible without the main deck Seas. Sir, 3 months? Oh yeah, it was the Castle Vantress that I cut. Yeah, I know the list like looks super similar, but like the reality is I spent like so much time playing versions with Abundant Harvest, really interested in Abundant Harvest and trying to see like how that card impacts the gameplay of the deck, where this deck again, like if you can mitigate mana flood, mana screw, you've solved the deck's issues. And that wasn't like the big secret answer or anything, but it was really interesting. Don't forget you 4-1 with Castman in my Dono deck. I'll never forget. I also 4-1 with Riveteer's Ascendancy recently. Gotta make sure to crack the fetch first. You play a yeah, I definitely played a donut deck with Casman because Singles was obsessed with the card when it came out. How many Ascendancy triggers did I get? I got like, I probably got on average like 0.8 Ascendancy triggers per Ascendancy cast. The ratio of triggers to casted Ascendancies was not great. You expect a new top tier Teferi Planeswalker from the Dominaria set? People always say this kind of stuff, like, what do you think the next Teferi is gonna do? But I don't know. Like, I look at Teferi, I don't like this line of text. Legendary Planeswalker Teferi is just flavor text, you know. And most Teferis are not like modern all stars or even constructed playable. Most cards aren't constructed playable. I don't ever expect a specific character to be overpowered. And because of this, my expectations are way more reasonable. I don't get angry when Odric Master Tactician or the new Odric isn't good in Standard. Because none of the Odrics have been good in Standard. You guys remember that? People were really mad that the new Odric was like not going to be good in Standard or any format. But it's like, have any of the Odrics ever been playable in Standard? I just... I felt like I was taking crazy pills. Ooh, Subtlety. Just gonna bottom this. New Odric wasn't good printed? I guess. I don't know. I thought it was like kind of cool, but none of the Odrics were any good. All right, maybe in like hyper casual EDH games, but so this new Odric can go there. I don't know. Maybe, what do I know? Okay, need a verdict off the top. That Flame Rift top deck's really dampening this league, huh? Is Rest in Peace too weak over Endurance in the deck? It's not about weakness, it's about versatility in these. You know, again, deck building decisions in Magic are always on, graded on an axis of versatility versus power level. I don't think I have any outs if I guess I can draw another Ice-Fang maybe. It's always an axis of versatility versus power level, and in this 80 card Bant deck, you really want Endurance over Rest in Peace because it can come in a huge variety of matchups in a way that Rest in Peace just can't. Where Endurance can come, like Rest in Peace comes in basically just against Living End, which is a good matchup. I know we lost there, we beat him earlier, but I digress. It's a good matchup. But Endurance can come in against Murktide. You can bring them in against Control and cut your Supreme Verdicts, which is really nice. You can bring them in against Grixis Shadow. You can bring them in a really big range of matchups in a way that like these Rest in Pieces are really like kind of like dead and not versatile. It announced his return early. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I just thought it was a dumb thing to complain about. What can I say? Justice for Odric, though. That's what I'm saying. So it looks like the mono blue Moon Snare deck that I like to play. I think if double blue can be relevant. It's kind of close. Because if I Ice-Fang block the Midnight, they might have something like Moon Snare. If we didn't draw a land there, how would it fetch with this? I mean, it depends on like what we would have drawn, but I think that we would have likely just played the island and waited a turn with double Ice-Fang in hand. He was semi-spoiled because a different card had him dying. The flavor text was, "Oh no, Odric is a vampire now." Ooh, they've gone too far. Interesting draw. How much do I know, like, the lore of MTG? How can I quantify something like that? I don't know. I like that Magic is a very rich game with lots of, like, characters and story and good art design and flavor. I think that that's good for the game. I personally am not that into it, but I've always appreciated like learning the lore via osmosis. If that makes sense. So like learning the lore of Magic through like Ristic studies and just talking to people about characters at the local game store, talking about characters with friends. I've always felt like that's like a really good way to engage with the story of the game is, you know, just kind of like casually talking about it and like, oh, did you know that Liliana is going to nursing school this set? Like, wow, that's great for her. I sure hope that she gets her degree, you know? It's kind of like you're talking about old friends when you find out new tidbits about the lore, and you know. Oh, very good draw. Presumably that's the draw, I guess. So I was meeting with you, Pat. Appreciate you. Go ahead, post your deck in chat. You can. Of control, baby. I think Phyrexian Crusader is like a fine sideboard card for the 4-color Omnath deck. It is interesting. I don't actually know that like this card gets the job done as much as you need it to, but it's interesting. It's been something I've been like wanting to playtest some more. I don't think that it's main deckable. I don't think that it's main deckable. It is like, I think just too weak against too much of the format for this to be a main deck card. 3 Cling to Dust feels like a way too many Cling to Dusts. I think the first one's fine, and they have like pretty significant diminishing returns beyond that. Okay, I guess we're gonna go Verdict 2 mana up here. I mean, I also think Kaya's Guile is like really weak too. Like this card is like awful against Hammer Time. It's awful against Omnath. It's like good against exactly Murktide and not really good against anything else. Maybe we should have fetched Shock there actually, so I could have had. Yeah, I could have fetched Shock Breeding Pool, then had Ice-Fang or Counterspell up. I would definitely play the 4th Ending over the 4th March. Because you're like pretty light on turn 1 answers to Ragavan. I also feel like if you're gonna play this like kind of black-white, I don't know exactly what to call. You've called it control. This doesn't really feel like a control deck to me. It feels like more of a mid-range deck. I would be interested in trying to integrate some ephemerate shenanigans with Grief and Solitude. The issue with Grief, Solitude, and this kind of shell is that there is a distinct lack of good creatures with Enter the Battlefield effects that you'd want to be playing in this archetype. There's, you just have like a few too few. Like you can play Wall of Omens, and then you have 12 good creatures to ephemerate, and you're missing like 4. And beyond Wall of Omens, which is kind of medium, you don't have a lot of options. You have like Tide Hollow Scholar, which is fine and it gets the job done, I guess. You also have access to cards like Bone Shredder, which is not very good, and you're just kind of always feel like you're scraping the bottom of the barrel with that build. 4 Castle Locthwains, I think, is like at least 1 too many Castle Locthwain. I like being in on it. I think 4 is still a little bit high. I think I might even like to see you just be on a split Prismatic Ending and Fatal Push in this deck. I think Push is pretty good at the moment in this Ledger Shredder world. You can play 4 Vindicate in the main. I think that would be fine. I've been kind of interested in playing a deck like this and like finding some way to like abuse Vindicate a little bit via like Snapcaster Mage, Goblin Dark Dwellers. But I don't think that's very good. Although it would give you an extra ephemerate target in the case of Dark Dwellers. But you think you can't Dark Dweller your ephemerate. Yeah, you probably just have to play Stoneforge Mystic, but I don't know. You're swimming in the sewer. Like, and the reality is, like, these black-white decks, I think are close. I think that they're very close to being powerful and interesting, and every time I've tried to build them, every time I see someone try to build them, it just feels like they're missing something. And I can give you advice like, don't main deck Crusader, don't main deck 3 Queen to Dust, have a split of Push Ending instead of March Otherworldly Light, don't play 4 Kai's Guile, probably play 4 Vindicates. But beyond that, it's tough. It's tough. I think you're playing. Sideboard seems interesting. I don't know why we have so many Hushbringers. Like, this card's not that good against 4-color Omnath. It's not that bad either, I guess, but I think it's a little bit of an overrated card. But I don't have the secret ancient Nasif text of how to swim in the sewer. I have not figured it out. What were my thoughts yesterday on yesterday's Rectos deck? I like the Rectos deck a lot. We were like 15-4 with it overall. I will definitely revisit it at some point. I was thinking about maybe revisiting it today. We'll see how much time we have. Play the expensive Modern Horizons cards, Modern in a nutshell. Yeah. Based. Oh, sorry, I should have counted that. I'll bounce it, count it on the way down. you ever bounce a thought monitor? You keep track of all my roommates and brewers. I usually like to do it at like the beginning, especially when I feel like the list is like hammered out for like the first 30-40 matches. But I think after that, just becomes too much. Cube 18 months, appreciate you. Yori on the hand. You could Yori on the hand here. I think it's fine to just also hold up mana. We are certainly in garbage time. There's not really any wrong answer here, and the reality is this game is going to end when we ultimate this hero of Dominaria, and we're going to be able to ultimate this hero of Dominaria, and not much really matters right now. This game is completely unlosable. I would say it's garbage time. I would love to say it's garbage time with the garbage time emote, but sadly we don't have one. I'm gonna play the Esper Fruit deck again on stream. Yeah, for sure. I played it very briefly last week, but we had a rough O2 drop. I just moved on for the day. But I do want to play it again. It'll be time soon. Bros, thank you for Twitch Prime. Appreciate you. Alright, they can attack my Teferi for one, so I better stop that with the Supreme Verdict. The perfect use of resources. The Supreme Verdict. And we can debate in the chat for an hour on the merits of Supreme Verdict versus Archmage's Charm here. Okay, up a game against Mono Blue Affinity. Chalice is really good against them. My opponent has hinted that they're playing my list, and I was playing 19 1-drops. So I think we'll be bringing in this Chalices, and then cutting the Force of Negations. Could just cut the Abundant Growths, as we bring in the Chalice. Could try that, that could be fine. Dancing Queen, 17 months, thank you, Prop. How is the concept of Jund Scam Coco? Has the concept of Jund Scam Coco been floated? I don't think so, but I don't really understand why you'd want to play Grief and Fury in your Collected Company deck, right? Because they don't get hit off Collected Company. You can maybe, though, play Green... I mean, guys, Malak Rebirth Endurance is just not that good. This hand's medium, but I think you keep a lot of medium hands in this deck. Obviously. I haven't really messed around much with Company and Pioneer, but I also haven't played Pioneer in like 2 months, but I'm playing it for the first time tomorrow, assuming that I can find at least the 2 Fire Impulses. I can play 1 Fry over a Rending Volley, that'll be fine, but I... as, nobody has any Fiery Impulses in my area. The well is running dry. I'm like legit. My plan this afternoon after the stream is to scour the Metroplex for 2 copies of Fiery Impulse for tomorrow. Have I tried my local game store? I say this as a longtime member of the Dallas-Fort Worth community. And this is not to their fault, because like maintaining singles in the era of COVID was like not at all a priority, but holy shit, the singles market in my area has gone to shit. It's just like not existent anymore. It used to be the case that like there was a really good singles market. You even had a place like you had like a Star City Games level store in their singles with Madness and Plano. They just had everything all the time. You could like really rely on them to just have anything you needed at any time, but now you just like it's so hard to find anything. No hot singles in my area. We have the same RCQ. Yeah, it's the Dark Hound at Arlington, but I'll be able to find them. It's just, it's a lot of work for 2 Fiery Impulses. We'll figure it out. Banned for saying hate TCG player. TCG player is great. It's going to be even better after we unionize them when the Channel Fireball people move over. Or something. We'll figure it out. Maybe steal a construct kind of game. Signed up for my first RCQ on August 13th. Any advice? Never been to an in-person event before. There's definitely like a lot of good articles about going to your first event. I haven't written any, but I'm trying to think if there's any I could recommend to you. I would mostly just focus on having fun, enjoying the experience, playing as best as you can. I think that your goal for any tournament should just always be feel like you selected the best deck you could have, feel like you played the best to your ability, and enjoy yourself. And if you feel like you've done all those 3, great. And if you feel like you messed up on one of those 3, sitting back and evaluating what you could have done to select a better deck, what you could have done to play better, and what you could have done to have more fun are all good things to reflect on. We're gonna play with fire. Yeah, I might end up having to do something like that. Hopefully they don't name Jace. But that's probably what they're supposed to name. They named the Fun Raveler instead. Hitachi, how's it going? I was very envious of your IRL connection last night. What's going on with your tournament? I was trying to figure it out, but I couldn't really. Okay, they did make a change. They did make a change to the list. I like to play Flusterstorm over Spell Pierce, but good change for them. Evo starts today. Hitachi had mad people playing GG in the hotel last night. Very fun. I lost $1,000 in a money match by round 1 last night. Hopefully that number is way up, or you make a lot of money by the end of it, or lose a lot. I don't know. It'd be fun either way. Do you think Wandering Emperor is generally just worse than Jace to control decks, or do you think something specific about iteration control makes it worse? In this deck, you really need the card selection from Jace because you're a Yorion control deck with like lots of cantrips, so it's easy to get mana flood, mana screw. Jace helps a lot with that. But it is also like definitely the case that, I don't know, like Jace the Mind Sculptor is like really good against 4-color, actually. Jace is really good against 4-color, is like maybe it's marginal between Emperor and Jace otherwise, but Jace is like way better against 4-color than Emperor is, and I think this game's a good example how like you are just mathematically more likely to have these mana clumps in the Yorion deck than you are in the 60 card version. So having Jace for the selection matters a lot. I think that Spell Pierce really just won the game. But yeah, I also think Emperor's like overrated in general. I think that the card is fine. It was one thing about the Wandering Emperor is that it's like a hard card to play around, and it's one of those cards that once it's first in the format, nobody knows how to play around it, and you get a lot of good blowouts with it. But now it's like more so on people's radar. People are experienced playing against it. I think a lot of the equity of the card has really, fallen off. Plus L plus ratio. It's really just ain't what it used to be. Okay, we need to rip a verdict. The slogan of the control player. Got a chump block. Rip a verdict or lose. I don't think we only drew lands this game, but I think we maybe drew only one spell. I know there are a lot of factors. At what point with followers and subs was the break-even level versus traditional employment for me? Well, I had a big sign in my career that I needed to switch to full-time streaming. It was when I got laid off from my job due to COVID. I was already like barely able to pay my bills with the stream though. I will say this though, at least like my follower count is like not very high, but like at least from what I can gather on Twitch, the number of followers you have doesn't matter very much. It's just all about that like average viewership and subs. And I think at the time I have 17 or 18 subs. I'm hoping to hit 20 someday, but we'll see. Sub goal, 20 subscribers. Yeah, Spoke founder, let's go. Shout out to all the founders. Explosion gifting a sub, getting us that much closer to 20, baby. Must be at 18 or 19 now. Blue Mason, one closer to 20. Let's go! 20 subscribers! I'd like to thank Expansion Explosion, and Mason, and Lobro, and Esther. We finally did it. Oh no, this is for Deck Tech. Never mind. Deck Tech subs don't count, by the way. Manaless Control. Oh boy. All forces. Gunshot, Marrow Shards, Chancellor, Endurance, Fury, Grief. Is there actually like not a way to win? I think you should play Commandeer in the deck so you can actually win games. No, I think you should play Commandeer and maybe like one Progenitus because it pitches to all of your stuff. Okay, I think we're to main phase and Ice-Fang, try to find a land. We did find a land. It's kind of an awkward one. I think holding up Dress Down for Urza is fine, though, this turn. Could take a hit. Force of Ridgewoods? No, it doesn't win, because it only... This I don't know, I'm getting so passionate. The tokens get exiled in your upkeep. Force of Rage is so bad. Modern Horizons cards, am I right? Stunlock for the win. I think it was 5 months. I think it's like 21 subscribers. Let's see, the days of doing control list that placed 5th at NRG. I didn't. Has Atashi left yet? Okay, it looks like Atashi has left. I don't like Days of Doing control decks in Modern. I think they are big garbage. They're like probably very fun, but I just a hater of Bant, or Days Undoing Control in. Let's not get Spell Pierce this game, huh? Oh no, Jab is here. It was their list. I'm sorry. I'm sure it was very fun. I'm a hater though. Just a hater. Okay, right now Spell Pierce prove. And their deck is like mono 1-drops, or not quite mono 1-drops, but 19 plus any number of Spell Pierce minus any number of like sided out Aether Spell Bombs. Hating things is also fun. And easy. Like, I hate the new Odric. The new Odric is trash, and they've disgraced the character, which is well known for having nothing but constructed all-stars. I think I'll just go Teferi minus on the Nettle Cyst. I can't believe they massacred Aldrich like that. Alright, another Nettle Cyst. It's fine. I think we may do something like Jace the Mind Sculptor minus on the token, and then if they equip onto the crab, we steal the crab. Try to steal the germ. Probably just stealing the germ as they just move it over to the crab, but yeah, this taps their mana. Presumably, I don't know. I would just concede. Love to concede. Okay, draw a card. Okay, so stealing the crab is fun and funny, and it is actually not that bad because they have the Springleaf Drum. But I'm doing this to assert my assert myself as in complete control of this game. More of a moral victory than anything else. See, it may look like I'm taking the suboptimal line by attacking with the crab instead of this Ice-Fang, because this has 0 power and this has 1. But the crab actually deals a massive amount of psychic damage here, and my opponent is so much more likely to concede because I attack with the crab like 2 or 3 more times than me attacking with this Ice-Fang. They are like infinitely more likely to concede if I just attack with the crab, which makes it the optimal play. Toxic control players, I am not toxic. I am maximizing my win percentage here. Because if I win faster, I get to win more later. I think my opponent's probably down to like 20% of their psychic energy left. It's a hidden stat. You can't actually see it. But I believe we're probably in that range at this point. Why win faster but not attack with Coatls? Yes, this line wins faster. It wins faster to attack with the crab than to attack with the Ice-Fangs. Because I am dealing so much psychic damage with the crab attack. See? There's the GG. My opponent does not have the will to play the game anymore because of the psychic damage I've dealt. I know it's a hidden stat. It's a hidden stat, but it's one that you can pick up on after lots and lots of experience. If I'm attacking with the crab there, they're still in it, you know, they're still in it. I've done the same move against you, the second damage was